Happy New Year. Hey, we have the first week of 2022 trading, and we're going to talk about what the heck is stagflation this week. My name is Brandon Steele, financial advisor with Mainsail Financial Group here in Bellevue. And our goal every Thursday is to bring to you the market news and trends and data that we're watching, and hopefully weed out some of the noise to hopefully just bring you the stuff that actually matters or that you can implement in some of your strategies for the new year here. Again, this is the first week of 2022, so I hope everyone is still kind of has their 2022 goals or resolutions alive. Hopefully everybody is off to a productive, kind of fast start here right out of the gate in the new year. Here we are, again, first week of 2022 as far as trading goes as well, and it's been quite the story already. We've had a huge discrepancy between tech, the high-flying tech that everybody's known and loved for the past, 10 years, and value. So we see the Dow right now. This is not the best measure, but it gives you an idea. Dow's up, I think, about 1.5% here so far in 2022, whereas the NASDAQ is down, I think, near 5% right now. So big swing right out of the gate between some of these typical high-flying tech names and what we're seeing on the value side of the equation here. Again, Dow and NASDAQ don't necessarily mean tech and value, but it does give you kind of a good glance at things. And we're really seeing it across some of those bigger names as well. So will this be maybe a sign of what's to come? I think it's very possible that this may be the theme of 2022. Now, I'm not saying tech's going to have a bad year, but it's very possible 2022 we start to see some of those value names emerge a little bit again here and kind of come back into light. It's been a tough 10 years or so for value. Tech has just kicked its butt, but here we are, last year to some degree, value did well, and here we are early 2022 where we're seeing that's 6%, right? That's a big discrepancy between the two indexes there. So possible theme for 2022, we'll have to wait and see, but obviously something to really pay attention to. Tuesday, this is jobs week here, right? So we're gonna spend a lot of time on the jobs data. On Tuesday, we had 10.6 million job openings out there. Terrible number, down from 11.1 million. So I guess a good sign, but 10.6 million jobs opening, is a terrible number. That's a huge, again, I'll use the word discrepancy between those looking and those receiving jobs. So we've got a big issue here. We need to see that come down. It did come down significantly, right? Again, down from 11.1 million last month. And possibly, although this number is still huge, that difference coupled with this ADP employment report number that came out on Wednesday, maybe a bit of a glimpse or a little shine of light here of maybe what's to come. On Wednesday, we had ADP employment report showing 807,000 jobs added in the month of December. Here we are in January. I know a lot of people are looking. We are actually we're hiring somebody here shortly, and we got a ton of resumes just in over a weekend, actually during the new year. So I think in January, a lot of people that maybe were waiting to get through the holidays are starting to get back into it and maybe start looking again. So it's very possible that we see another big number here in January as well. But for now, let's back up. Let's focus on what we've got coming up, which Friday, we have non-farm payrolls numbers coming out. So I am hopeful, I am wishful, and I believe that these two numbers between the job openings coming down and the ADP employment report number at such a high number, that non-farms payroll on Friday hopefully will be a good number as well, and a big, a big number as far as jobs added in the month of December, which we've got holidays and all the stuff that comes along with that to compete with there. So if we see a big number in December, maybe a very good sign again of what's to come in January. So non-farms payroll Friday, want to pay attention to that one for sure. And we will definitely spend some time on that coming up next Thursday at 3 as well. Coming up next week, obviously, we've got non-farms payrolls. We're going to talk a lot about that, but we also have a lot of inflation numbers come out. We have consumer price index or CPI and producer price index numbers both coming out next week as well. So it will be very interesting to see how some of these jobs numbers kind of pan out through the rest of the week. but also what inflation starts to look like here through December and moving into 2022 as we get a little further into next week too. So we'll be covering a lot of the job side of it and inflation numbers here next Thursday as well. With that, we'll jump into our question of the week, which is, what the heck is stagflation? So for those who follow, you may have noticed that last week I kind of shared my outlook, my perspective on 2022. Again, I do expect a good year in the market, but I brought up this concept of stagflation as a potential concern. Not something to watch right out of the gate, but certainly something to kind of keep a close eye on. And obviously the question came up, well, what does that mean exactly? So I think I'm going to spend a little bit of time explaining what stagflation is and why it can be a challenge. Essentially what stagflation is it's a period of high inflation numbers and very slow or no growth, right? So that for those, again, who follow us here weekly, you probably heard me say that exact same thing last time. That's one of the potential concerns that I'm watching in the year or two ahead. But essentially what stagflation means is that we have a period where inflation continues to creep up, prices keep growing and keep growing and keep growing. But as far as a country or an economy, I should say more generally, those numbers are really not growing. We're not producing necessarily. When we have both of those things, inflation, yeah, it's a thing, we need to watch it, but it's not as big of a concern to the economy. When we have higher prices and no growth, that is a big concern to the economy. So this is stagflation. Again, higher prices, slower or no growth. And that's something that I really want to pay attention to here in 2022. It's not something I'm worried about right out of the gate, but certainly as interest rates potentially rise down the road, as we see some of the fallout or the back end of some of the spending here through the last few years, that is something to really pay attention to. Hopefully it doesn't come up, but something to definitely watch in the year ahead here. So hopefully that is helpful. With that, we'll see you next Thursday. We got a lot to cover. We're going to jump right into non-farm payrolls and the inflation data. So definitely tune in next Thursday at 3. And as always, let me know if you have any questions. If you do have a question for our question of the week, I'd be more than happy to help answer it. And if we do use it, more than happy to send a copy on me as well to kind of kickstart your 2022. So have a great year. Hopefully you're having a productive start here right out of the gate, and we will see you next Thursday at 3.